Hey guys, what's up? It's Jeff. I've got a full house tonight with the amazing, well, I'd say the awesome Tiffany Ott.
My favorite word.
Amazing Ray Hewitt and our fantastic guest moderator, Adam Dovico tonight. Adam, awesome chat. We were just all talking about like this mastery chat family that we have and how cool it is and how diverse it is and from all over we're really all over the world now. We had a whole bunch of different countries represented tonight too. But a really good chat, another one. We love our Thursdays, so I'm going to dive right into it. Adam, let's go to you first and say, like, how are you feeling right now after the chat? Like, what's going through your mind?
It was an awesome chat. You mentioned people from all over the world. I think I responded to someone who was having breakfast with us in India.
Yes.
I mean, if that's not a sign of a global network, I don't know what is. So that alone, I think, made my night. But just a great crowd of people, diverse in many stretches of the imagination, from geography to experience to job to field of thought. So it was just really cool seeing so many different viewpoints and experiences. But I think the greatest part was everyone was there for kind of the same reason, to learn from one another and to collaborate, which I think is the most powerful part.
I get so many warm fuzzies whenever I think about the fact that we have these people from so many different places and so many different walks of life. And they're just like, I need to be there on Thursday night. I'm like, yes, we all need to be here. And it's great. I love it. And that person, if it's the same person I'm thinking of, she's been in our chats regularly from India. Yeah. She's a frequent flyer, if you will. She's great.
Jeff Kaplan says another amazing chat. Thanks, Adam. So
thank you. Thanks,
hey, Jeff. Regular.
Hi, Jeff.
Regular.
Yep. Always here
Ray,
with us.
Go ahead there, Ray.
No, I was going to say, Tiff, like, I'm waiting. Whenever you're on live and we ask you about the chat, there's an expectation I have. So, Tiff, how was the chat? One more time.
It was awesome. It was. I mean, there's always these pieces and parts that I pick out and I'm like, man, I needed that. And I really, there were some things today that I needed because I spent 8 hours in a 90+ degree classroom today. Sweating like crazy. It was pretty miserable, and I had to say goodbye to a lot of students, and that was an emotional moment. But I'm just going to jump into one of the questions that really struck me and is what made this chat so awesome for me tonight, and that was the question about what your students have taught you. And all the feels. You know what I mean? Because it's been a rough year for my students, and it's been a rough year for my district in a lot of ways, and in the program that I'm in. And they've taught me resilience, and that was just like a smacked me in the head moment. I was like, okay, they did teach me that. It was just really good. I needed that, so it was good. Mastery Chat always gives me what I need, right? It's either like, yeah, I'm jacked up, I'm pumped, or something. Okay, we got this. You know what I mean? Like it's awesome. It's just awesome.
It's a bolt of energy, right? But,
exactly.
It's amazing hey, Megan. But yeah, it's amazing what you can learn from the kids. My answer to my own question, I guess, was what I learned really from my deaf community this year. I have a school population of deaf and hard of hearing students, and of which, I'll be honest, I knew nothing about this year, just the community. And it's it's a decent sized community in my city, relatively. And what I've learned this year about that community is just amazing, and a population that I just feel a part of now. And, I've learned a lot about just the art of communication, which is something I've always been interested in with some of the research and writing that I've done. But now just to add this extra layer of it through these students has been really neat.
It never ceases to. Oh, I'm really echoey. It never ceases to amaze me the unlimited potential for us to learn, right? Because every year that goes by, I'm like, man, I learned so much. A couple years ago, I had a really high population of autistic students, and I was like, wow, I learned a lot from them this year. And it's like the deaf community that you were involved with this year. You just learned so much, and it's like, my gosh, my brain is full, but there's still more that we can learn, and that's really exciting.
Well, and to your point, I feel like that question actually, Adam, was one that stumped me, because trying to pinpoint one thing that I've learned from my students, like, I mean, my tweet was awful. I said, like, I don't know everything. Like, because there's so many things that you learn in school. I just had a meeting this morning with some faculty at Illinois State University, which is where I went to my undergraduate. And there's so much that I've learned since that point from my students. And so to pinpoint one thing, it's like, no, I didn't learn anything until I met them, because they're they're the teachers.
Right. Absolutely.
Was there any other like big like questions, maybe something you found shocking during the chat, Adam?
I don't know about shocking, but I one question that I was encouraged by was the one where I asked, it was actually the first question, I asked on a scale of 1 to 10, where do you rate your culture this year? And I'll be honest,
That one.
I put that one in there as a little bit of a just teaser a bit towards where we are in the school year, because it's June and people are getting out of school. So I'm curious to know the people who responded, an 8, a 9, that kind of stuff. Are they out of school already? And the people who are like 4, 5, they're still winding down the days there. But overall, I'll say I was really encouraged by how high the numbers are. Usually people feel that like 8 and 9 and 10, in August and September when the school year starts, you got all that energy, and it's draining at this point. And I understand that a lot of people can be really feeling that burn right now. But I mean, I saw tons of 7, 8, 9, and people really saying that they had a great school year and a great culture in their school. There are, of course, some that haven't, and that's understandable. But overall, I thought it was really encouraging seeing how positive people were about their school cultures.
I would like to see what they answered at the beginning of the year versus now as well.
Right.
See, did it go up? Did it go down? Did it stay the same? Where does it go? And then what does it look like this August and September?
Yeah.
Well,
Exactly.
that was an interesting tweet that I saw, like, very early on in that question. Somebody was talking about, they did that. They broke it down like, well, in August it was this, and then in November it looked like this, and right now it was this number. And
are you sure that wasn't me? Because that's what I did. Yeah.
The number went down like tremendously. And I asked him, and I really actually want to pose a question to you as well. What's the solution to that? How do we end the year still at a 9 or still at an 8? Even a 7 would be great to end the year with. And it's so hard.
And it's, we say it's hard in June, but it's also hard in like that mid-November right before Thanksgiving. It's hard in that right mid-December before Christmas break. I mean, there's all these landmarks throughout the school year that we have to kind of fight through. And I mean, I'm just speaking as a principal now. One of my main responsibilities is to keep that kind of motivation going in those hard moments and those doldrum type times of the year where morale can sink, where the kids can just kind of get on your last nerves. And so as a principal, like what can I do to boost that up? So one thing my assistant principal and I did this year to kind of strategically counteract that was to have, it was so silly, we called it the room service cart. And really all it is this silly computer cart, one of those black carts that we all have in our schools. And we just kind of decorated it, put a sign on it, and we went room to room and brought candy and food and soda and that kind of stuff. So simple. I mean, it could just cost a few bucks, but the look on their faces when, here rolls in this piece of candy, you would have thought it was a $1,000 bonus or something for some of the teachers. So I don't think it's brain surgery to some degree. I don't think you have to reinvent the wheel, but I think people do appreciate being appreciated, and finding those little moments, particularly in the toughest times, if you're strategic about it, can go a long way to boost morale and raise that culture.
I love that quote. I'm sorry.
No, that's okay. Am I echoing like crazy?
You were a smidgen.
Okay. Do you want to talk first, Ray, or who's talking?
I just quick. I just love that quote. People appreciate being appreciated. I mean, that goes for not only our students. We talk a lot about building relationships and showing our students we believe in them, but really to staff I mean, I'm sure you would know better than I, but I'm sure administrators appreciate being appreciated too. I mean, just taking time to show people that you value them can really increase that climate number. So it was just interesting. People appreciate being appreciated. It's true.
You know, I've had so many principals in my 10 years, between principals leaving and switching, and then me switching school districts. Mm-hmm. And I think a really important thing for anybody out there who is considering entering like a leadership position in school, whether it's principal or instructional coach or something, but that kind of appreciation, it has to be genuine. I've had some principals who check the box on teacher appreciation, and it's very blasé, if you will. Like you can roll a cart around the school with treats, or you can roll a cart around the school with treats with real belief behind it. You know what I mean? And I think that kind of genuine, it's the same thing we talk about with kids, right? When you have a classroom full of kids, they can see right through malarkey, right? They can see right through, I'm doing this because I'm supposed to. I'm doing this to check the box off. And I think with principals or school leadership, it needs that same thing. And as I'm even saying this, I'm thinking more, because I always do that. But that kind of appreciation, teacher to teacher, needs to happen a lot more than it does. And I was one of the ones who rated the climate in my building a little bit on the lower side. I wasn't a 7, 8, or 9, 10, and I wish we were. But it's been a rough year in my district, and I think that we could be much more purposeful about that teacher to teacher connection and the administration to teacher connection too. Megan, yes, they know who means it and who is just all talk. Yeah.
And I think I want to touch on that, because I think that being genuine, the biggest piece of that is that it is consistent and it's all year round, because coming around with a cart once or twice throughout the year is clearly just checking the box. And if you're not showing appreciation and being real the rest of the time, they're not going to believe that that's real that time. They'll take the candy, I'm sure, but they're going to see that you were just doing it because you know you're supposed to do it because there's a book somewhere that says you should have. But if you're genuine in everything you do, and the way you lead them, and the way the way you act towards your colleagues or to your students, then those little things that are slightly bigger that you do here and there, I think have a stronger impact because of that.
Well, and that's right out of your playbook, Jeff. I mean, how often have we talked about when you were managing people at restaurants, how the book says to do X, Y, or Z, but you don't do it because the book says to do it. The people who do it because the book says to do it are the ones who are never going to build those connections, right? Yeah. And so you're a prime example of that.
Well, it's the reason behind it. Like the example I always give is that, like, the book says hold a door if an elderly couple is coming in, but I held the door because I want to talk to them, because maybe I remind them of the grandson they never get to see. And so it's like when Adam does something special for his teachers, I'm guessing from the little bit I know Adam, that the reason behind it isn't because someone said he should do something like that, but that rather he's thinking, man, I would really appreciate that if I was in the classroom dealing with kids right now, because when I was, I either got that or I didn't, and I appreciated it or missed it. And so it's the reason behind what you're doing. They, like you said, kids can see right through you. So can your colleagues and your staff. Oh, yeah. They can see right through you, because if you're not acting it all the time, they know you're acting it because you're not being real. And that goes through every industry in the world. So
let me ask you. No, go ahead, Ray. I talked too much.
No, go ahead. I was going to go a different direction. Go ahead.
I was just going to ask Adam. I know. When we have 4 of us on here, we just all talk. Adam, I'm curious, what is it that sparked your interest in this conversation around school culture and the limitless school? Like, what kind of launched you on that journey?
I think I'd be remiss if I didn't say that a lot of it really was inspired from my time working at the Ron Clark Academy. I mean, obviously, having taught many years before working there, you build that base. I mean, I was a young teacher at that point, building a base of my own pedagogy and just, my own philosophy of teaching. But once I got working at the Ron Clark Academy, I mean, it's a exemplar for school culture. I mean, it's why thousands and thousands of people go there every year. It's to study and to take in what can be at a school. and everyone takes something different away from it. But hands down, I mean, just in my experience, it's I've been associated with the school for over 8 years now, and people take away the culture. And the reason being because it's different. It's exciting, it's invigorating, and it's real kids. This is not a person talking about culture. You're going to a real school with real kids, and and so that I would say that was probably what started the fire about thinking about school culture and what can be. And then I got a chance to travel around the country and go to schools and see what was missing from so many schools. And a lot of schools brought me out there to discuss that exact topic and look at, well, how can we increase the culture? So I guess, all these experiences got me interested in eventually, and I guess I'm in present tense now, in making it my own school now and having my own school and seeing what can be done I'm a principal at a Title I public elementary school. You can't get more regular than that. So, and trying to make it something different. And I'm in year 1. We still have miles and miles to go. But I'm really proud of what we've done in 1 year. And I was actually I'm going to give a shout out right now on the chat tonight. One of my new teachers was on it tonight. She's coming over to my school next year. And one of our central office personnel who's going to be working with my school next year was also on the chat. So it was really encouraging to see
that's awesome.
how it's coming together. And it's triangulating, and we're making progress through so many different ways and means. So it's exciting.
Yay, that's awesome. I can't wait to hear about all the amazing things that happen and the struggles and the successes that you have on this journey. That's going to be really neat.
I have to celebrate how excited I was when you started talking about building a school culture and how you have to have all these pieces, including community buy-in, they have to be involved. That I feel like that's my favorite thing to talk about. And so hearing not only the discussion around students and teachers, teacher to teacher, admin to teacher, admin to student, we had all those great conversations, but then there were so many ideas on how teachers can bring in the community, how parents and administration can collaborate on things. And I loved that part of the chat. Did either of you see any idea that you had never thought of before about how to connect with their community?
This is why I love it, Ray, because I didn't see any of that.
It was my whole feed.
I love it. It's just so perfect. Example right here of how diverse our Mastery Chat family is. So tell me, Ray.
I don't know what question it was. Adam, do you know what question sparked that part?
Yeah, it was the question that we kind of chatted about a little bit before the chat tonight was with the marriage. With marriage. And, who have you worked with or who have you partnered with this year? Mm-hmm. And I was actually encouraged because we kind of joked about it a little bit beforehand that so often it's so easy to get kind of tied into the person that you do the same job as, teacher and teacher or principal and principal. But it was really nice tonight to see people who have reached out to the community or to different stakeholders to, improve the culture of the school.
Yeah.
I think I struggle sometimes when I talk to teachers. I always want to give them big, huge ways that they can connect with the community because I've been able to see that in my own classroom. And so it was really nice to see in Twitter, there were some extremely manageable strategies to just connect with parents and just take that one step in the right direction. And so I thought that was so exciting. You're right. It was the marriage question. That makes total sense now.
Ray, but can you pull do you have one of those in mind and one of those manageable? Can you think of it?
Gosh, there were so many. Okay. I know that I mentioned Brian Zwemke, who's held our Mastery Chat before. He's a principal. He does coffee and donuts with the principal coffee with the principal. I love that he does that. He does it once a month. What a fantastic, consistent idea for your parents to have an avenue to connect with staff, but really ask questions. There was a huge tweet that I'll have to go back and retweet for all of you, but somebody listed the array of things that they do throughout the year, and they were all really cute titles, right? It was Donuts with Dad, and oh my gosh, I'll have to go back and look at it. But it was just small events that they were hosting that got their parents like one foot in the door, right? Like come into our building. It was very cool. And then the other idea I saw was like people in the school then hosting events out into the community, maybe where their community was more accessible. I really related to that one because I work in a school right now in the middle of a cornfield. So there's nothing, like if a kid wanted to run away out of the school building, there's nowhere to go. It's just cornfields. So being
far
able,
as the eye can see.
it's true. It's like
it really is just cornfields out her window. That's all you say.
I have to go see this.
Like you can sit and look out of my classroom and you just see cornfields the whole way through. Anyway, the whole point was that then they started hosting events like at the local McDonald's or somewhere else more present in the community so they could actually start having a stronger presence. And I loved those suggestions. It was very cool.
Yeah.
I'll give one really unexpected thing that we had happen this week. We had our end of grade testing here in North Carolina, and you need proctors obviously. And my testing coordinator was a superstar, and I would say probably about 90% of our proctors were community people.
Nice.
Just reached out and just started being like, "Hey, can you donate 3 hours this morning?" And so we had a lot of retired folks and just people that have volunteered at the school throughout the year. But we barely had to pull our assistant staff, so our coverage was super easy this week. We had parents involved as well. So just something small like that. I mean, it doesn't have to be fancy. Now, granted, testing proctoring, as we know, is the most boring thing in the entire world.
Especially in North Carolina. I taught there, and it's mind-numbing.
You just walk around and count ceiling tiles for 3 hours.
Yes,
But all that to say, you never know. Anything small can help.
Yeah. It's so funny that you I knew that you were in North Carolina, but I didn't connect the fact that I taught in North Carolina too. And I remember like the whole trying to find proctors and reaching out to the community, like that whole process just like brought back a flood of memories.
Probably
and having,
not good ones.
Well, most of them were okay because we had a pretty awesome community that we were in, but it was just like, holy smokes.
Yeah.
Wave.
It's intense.
Yeah. So.
I do want to mention next week we've got Todd Nesloni.
Nice.
Co-author of Kids Deserve It, author of Stories from Web, and his most recent is escaping me. Sparks in the Dark.
Sparks in the Dark.
I don't know what his topic is just yet. I voxed him just a second ago, but he hasn't gotten back to me. But we didn't get that. But he's gonna be here next week, so I want to make sure that we mention that we have that. That should be a really good one as well. Yeah. Todd's a really cool guy, and regardless of what he decides to go at, I think it's gonna be a fun topic. Anyway,
y'all are gonna love him.
Not that we have a hard time having fun with Master Chat.
I'm sitting here and I'm like, we have had some amazing people join us in these conversations. And Adam, you're one of them. I mean,
thank you.
We have been able to make so many connections, and I have learned so much. It is mind-boggling in the last year that we've been doing this Mastery Chat. Like, holy smokes. And we just have even more people come in that just, we're going to learn even more. It's just exciting. I geek out about this.
Is it exciting, Tiffany? Or is it
awesome?
It really is. And Adam, you made tonight awesome. This was fantastic. Before we maybe let you go, we can keep talking forever if you want. Is there anything else that jumped out at you tonight that maybe was a unique answer or something cool that's kind of coming in your mind while we've been talking here?
I think the coolest answer, I don't think it was anything necessarily like specific to a question, but there was one example that someone gave, and I wish I remembered the person's name, but he shared a picture and a story about how, I guess, the kids and then teachers started adding or jumping on, were raising money for cancer, and all the dudes shaved their head.
Yeah.
Okay.
I don't know why that stuck out to me, but I just thought it was such a cool, unifying thing that they all did. I think it was a high school, but I don't know, just one of those things that I know it's not, something a lot of people will talk about moving forward, but I think it was just one of those really cool moments that a school did, because I'm sure there was a very specific reason for it, and it's those types of moments that really unify a school and can build positive culture. So yeah, that answer just really stuck out to me tonight as something that was like, man, that was really cool for that person in that school.
I need to go back and read all these tweets.
Yeah, no, that's all I got to reach. I'm like, I didn't see that one.
I have to go read all the other chats you guys must have been in, because that weren't in mine.
I always say one of my favorite parts is going back after the chat.
I know.
What I love is like the half hour after is all the tweets of the people who are like, I needed this week. This was awesome. I needed this today. This got my, I'm ready to go now. I'm ready to finish my final day tomorrow or whatever it is. Like, that's one of my favorite parts. And go and find. I love that we have so many people that come in a day, 2, or even 3 or 4 days later and answer the questions.
I know.
That's
Isn't
a
that
really
fun?
cool part. You'll see that coming over the next couple of days. That's a lot of fun. So,
we're just we're very blessed, and we're very we've worked hard to build this network of awesome educators, and now we are getting more back from it than we ever put into it. Like it's just a wonderful place.
It's a great way to put it. I love it.
We all are doing a great job. It's a lot of fun watching what you guys are doing.
Well, thank you again.
We have a lot of fun doing it.
We do. We have a good time. We have a good time doing it. That's for sure. So,
can I do a little sales pitch?
Yeah, do it.
Okay, this entire topic was inspired from Adam's new book, The Limitless School. So I loved that you kind of like highlighted some of the elements of the book, but there was so much more in the book that if you just liked our Twitter chat at all a smidgen, you need to go buy the book. You can buy it on Amazon. Fantastic read. Perfect summer read to then start really strong in August. So that's my little sales pitch. Go buy the book.
InsideTrenches.com is the site, right, Adam?
Yeah, so Inside Trenches, that's a site for my first book, Inside the Trenches, and then it'll also have a link for the new book as well. You just go to Amazon. So. Either way,
it'll get to there. Ray sales pitch.
I
know. I got a higher rate for my PR.
That's why I was about to mention the book, so I'm glad Ray did it because she does better than me anyway.
Books to read this summer. I have piles and piles of books to read this summer. I can't wait.
I was talking to Jonathan Weinstein earlier, who wrote Empower. He and his wife Lauren did. And I was like, I have it, but I haven't read it yet.
I was talking to Lauren too. Same thoughts exactly. But you know what? We're going to spend a lot of time on planes this summer. Our team. So we're going a lot of places. We're going to read a lot of books. Yeah,
the entire month of June.
So I'll get lots of things read.
We'll have to start rocking those out. But again, Adam, thank you very much. It was awesome. You did a fantastic job. Hopefully, we're going to make you come back and do another one later on. Maybe when you get started with the year 2, it'll be an awesome time to bring you in. And
in the fall.
So we're going to bring you back for that for sure. Go check out the website, get the Inside Trenches book and his new book, Limitless School, and learn more from Adam and about Adam and stuff. So we appreciate it. We will see you guys all next week with Todd Nesloni and over on Twitter. Any last words?
Awesome.
That's a good last word. We're going to go on that one. See you guys.
Bye, guys.